Hello fairy friends, I am back with a doorstep dollies that I had talked about in a couple of other videos earlier this week. My neighbor across the street, as many of you know, she and her husband were into restoring and making reproduction antique dolls. Now, the story behind that was this. And they always told us this story. Kurt, her husband, very dear man who's not with us anymore, he had a brain tumor in the mid 80s. So, and he always worked in insurance. And they weren't sure if he'd make it through, but he did, but he needed a lot of help at home. And so, Garnet, his wife, was a nurse. She quit her job, came home to get him back to health, and worked with him. He started using woodworking tools and doing wooden style dolls eventually, which she painted. But Garnet was also very talented at painting, silhouette cutting, and restoring old dolls, and also reproduction porcelain dolls. And this was at the height of their popularity when you could get a lot for a reproduction doll. And I've looked through the doll reader magazines that she's given me, and even a little 12-inch doll reproduction could go for as high as $300 or $400 at that time. So there was money to be made. So along with some more ribbons and some more trims, I got these three cuties right here. And I wanted to talk about the trims real quick because it's a little bit of an interesting story about Garnet herself. Now, they didn't grow up. Oops, I bumped this. Each of the Arnolds did not grow up rich, and certainly when she quit her job to take care of her husband, money was tight. But even though she's given me massive amounts of laces and ribbons already, I just got 3 big Rubbermaid tubs full of laces, still on their little plastic bolts, for lack of a better word. If you buy laces, then you'll know what I'm talking about. They're look like lattice, plastic lattice, and several. I don't even know how many of the smaller, I guess double the size of a shoe box, so like 2 pair of shoes could fit in it, crammed full of ribbon on the roll. So I have made my hands a little bit on the swollen side this week from hand washing it all. The detergent, laundry detergent, is not easy on your hands. And yeah, probably I should have used something a little bit more gentle. Maybe I should have wore gloves. But that's all after the fact here. I got in the middle of it and was cleaning it all. It wasn't really dirty. It just had some things had been stored in the plastic bins in the attic, and some in the basement. So they just needed a little freshening up, and some of them were from the 90s, so they kind of needed it anyway. So the whole house is filled up right now with laces that have been hand washed and are drying. So what I wanted to say about Garnet was, though, because she grew up in the Depression. Now, Kurt grew up in Georgia, way in the South. Kurt had his own stories about the Depression. Garnet had hers, and those were more our area, Southwest Ohio. And so I think in some areas where people lived in cities, they had their own unique challenges with the Depression, with staying fed and getting your necessities. I think people in our area in southwestern Ohio, in rural areas, not in the city, and so they had their own unique challenges in that perhaps there weren't jobs where they could be employed by other people, but the jobs were scarce to begin with. But they had land or at least a little bit of property, so that they would be able to plant gardens. And many people did that in the cities as well. So there's some people who didn't really change how they lived. Certainly times were harder. They did do without, they did ration things. However, they were better equipped in some ways. So all that to say, Garnet on each of these had either a sticker on the bolt, or if it was a cardboard bolt, she wrote how many yards she had left. Now that meant she knew how much she bought, and every time she used it, she measured it, and then she wrote down what was left. And to me, out of all that she had, she could have afforded after a while to stop doing that. Some people might say that's an OCD or an unhealthy behavior left over from the depression or hard times. Even anyone who's lived in hard times, sometimes we develop habits that perhaps aren't that healthy. I'm going to count this as a very wise. She was a very wise lady. Didn't take her very long to do that math really quickly. And to me, that's amazing. As a doll maker myself, always keeping track of my supplies and how much I have when I need to order again, I can totally appreciate that. Except she blows me out of the water because she's in a nursing home now. She's not doing her dolls anymore. That's why I'm receiving all of these things, and I'm so very thankful and blessed. All right, let's look at this one. And this one, I'm going to move the camera over so we're more in the light. I think you can recognize this face is a Bilo. Now, I'm not really sure why she put a wig on. I think in my doll supplies that I've already received, I have so many Bilo babies parts that it's insane. She must have gotten some sort of deal on them. So my guess is that she was trying to mix them up. You know, add some variety to the painted. You can see the painted head there. Add some variety to that for when she had a little doll sale or show or whatever. So you can see the wig has the little ringlets back here. I was going to pop it off, but you know what? I'm going to keep it as it is and then see what it looks like after it gets dressed, just to see. The Bilo baby is very distinctive, and it doesn't really sometimes look too nice because the head slopes down, and so there's not really a dome here. It's just supposed to look like a newborn baby, or what one particular newborn baby looked like. I think most people know about Grace Putnam and coming up with her sculpture from an actual newborn baby. So that was kind of new for the time when she did that. And Tammy Lasky's channel goes over that in a couple of videos. So, and a lot of these will still be marked Grace Putnam on the back. This one has a wig, so it's probably covering it up. So there's that one. And the little crier in this one is no longer working. So I may or may not get to fixing the crier. I might work on just getting a little outfit. So I think maybe her intent for this one was maybe to create a little girl, maybe a little toddler. And then we have these, which are more, they're a little bit bigger. There's two. But apparently then Garnet had gotten these. Oops, and that crier works. I think this one does too, but not for as long. Yeah, this one does. This one only does it when you pat it. The body here is not the typical body. What you normally see with these reproduction Bilo babies is the frog body, and I don't know if I'd be able to hang out just for a second whilst I go get another example. This is an example of the little frog body, and that's normally what you see on the Bilo babies. Now, a weird thing about this doll here is this was actually a doll from my mom that she found at a local little thrift shop, and it was dressed by and put together by Garnet and somehow made its way into the thrift store. So I didn't get this directly from my neighbor, but it is hers. But that's the what they call the frog body, because I guess the legs. And a little interesting aside, Queen Victoria, whom the Victorian age is named after, although she had several children, she did not very much care for her babies as infants, because she felt that they looked like little frogs. Their little bodies looked like little frogs. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And here's one that Garnet gave me years ago. A beautiful little miniature example. Love the little hands. Love this little baby so much. You can see the little swirls in the hair. And this one says, "By Virginia." So I think at some point then, people just kind of stopped putting Grace Putnam on the back. But I have seen some, and I do have some doll parts still. And this is just a little miniature one that she gave me. And I think, like I was saying about Garnet before, very, very smart with her money. And of course then if she had other doll parts, then she would use them and she would modify the body shape. So right here we see this type of body shape. We see this body shape to accommodate porcelain feet. We see this one right here with the frog legs, which is just a bigger version of this little cutie patootie. And then we see yet another one in a different size. So honestly, I think she's very smart, because there's some things that you have to consider when you are a doll maker. You have to obviously provide variety. That could be skin tone, that could be the ages of the child, the hair color, the hairstyles, and you wanted to offer things of different values as well, because not everybody who was going to be coming to your doll stall or wherever you were set up, not everybody was going to have the same budget. So you would want to at least be able to make some people come away from your stall happy that they got a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of something that they want. These two were the ones that were in the little basket. And my mom found these baskets. I have about 3 of these little bassinets. We'll put her in there. And our little twins together, and put the blanket over them. Who knows when I'll be able to get to those. But the good thing is they're already made up. Just need to make up the outfits for them, cover up their bodies, and put some little bonnets on them, and then they will be all pretty and nice. And I don't know what I'll do with them though, because like I said, I have Bilo babies, Bilo baby, Bilo babies. Now they're not the originals, yes, granted, but I have a ton of these reproduction ones. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I do apologize for it running so long. I can be a little bit on the wordy side, but anyway, I hope you guys have a magical day, and thank you for spending some time with me. Bye-bye.